Two friends with a common interest in racing forged a relationship that has defined stock car racing forever. Bill France Sr. and John Markham may have met on the short tracks, but their aspirations were gigantic. Big Bill invited Markham to bring his touring series to the Daytona International Speedway in 1964. And a who's who of the ARCA racing series have etched their names in the history books every year since. Nelson Stacy was first to victory lane, and then the greats continued to follow. Iggy Katona, Jack Bowser, Benny Parsons, Kyle Petty, Mike Wallace, Ryan Newman, Kyle Busch, and most recently the domination of Bobby Gerhart. All winners at the greatest venue the sport has ever seen. Very impressive names on that list of drivers that have been to victory lane as we're getting ready to find out who will go this year. The Lucas Oil Slick Mist 200. Just 8 laps of racing remaining. In the ARCA Racing Series inaugural season back in 1953, celebrating our 60th anniversary season. Ray, we saw the 15 of Ryan Reed make his way onto pit road. Was he out of gas?
He was, Rick, and a number of these guys have gambled. You see Brandon McReynolds out front, the 32-17. Some of these guys who are thinking they can make it on fuel. Ryan Reed was the same. They did not pit under yellow that last time until he went around one more lap and said it was out of fuel. The guys came, they pushed him, got him restarted, but he gives up second place on the racetrack by not having enough fuel. Let's go to Trado.
And Ray, Will Kimmel's playing a bit of a gamble here as well, but on the radio he said, you know what, I'm going to stay with the 17. I'm going to push the 17 to the finish line. That's kind of what Chris Buescher's strategy was in that car a year ago with Bobby Gerhart. Will Kimmel have enough fuel to do it? They're gambling here in the 68 machine. It's a family-owned deal, volunteer pit crew. This is Bill Kimmel's son, Will. That's Frank's brother. They are on their own now, and they're trying to get a great run and hopefully a full season with sponsorship in this 68, currently 5th on the board.
Thanks, Jim. We got a couple cars that look like they're struggling with fuel right now. The 16 of Matt Lofton looks to be being pushed by Josh Williams to try to get him back around.
Right now, our top 5 cars on the racetrack all pitted on lap number 9. They're on the exact same strategy. Steve Blackburn right now running in the 6th spot has about 6 more laps of fuel. He pitted on lap number 15, and Bobby Gerhart running 7th pitted on lap number 10. So I would not be surprised to see more cars run out of gas before we get to the end.
So the top 5, as you mentioned, all pitted on lap number 9. That's Will Kimmel running in the 5th spot. Blackburn pitted on lap 15. So a few more laps of fuel for Steve Blackburn, but as you mentioned, Bobby Gerhart, a 7-time winner of this race, looking for his 8th win, currently running 7th, but he pitted on lap 10 of this race. Coming up next, it's the Budweiser Shootout edition of NASCAR Race Day from Daytona International Speedway, getting you ready for the Bud Shootout. 2 sections of that race, 25 laps to start it off with, and then a 50-lap shootout to end it. Kurt Busch won the race a year ago, but with a new team, what will happen? Take a look at this. The 4, Brandon McReynolds running down on the apron.
Yeah, the fuel pickups are in the right rear corners of these fuel cells, and if they're running around at 70 miles an hour, which is pace car speed, the fuel will run away from that fuel pickup, and they will actually run out of gas even though they have gas in the tank. So I think it's a smart move by Brandon McReynolds to run down on the flat to keep that fuel over in the pickup box over in the right rear corner of that fuel cell.
Again, Brandon McReynolds gambling, trying to see if they can make it. One car that didn't make it, Matt Lofton, trying to put fuel and get that one fired back up again and getting back out on the racetrack. Lofton will drop back, currently scored 27th. If he can stay on the lead lap, that will be the big question. He's got to get out in front of the pack.
See Chris Windham also down on the apron of the racetrack on the flat, trying to keep fuel in it. I'm not sure Chris Windham has any fuel right now. He may be out of gas. Let's see if it picks back up.
Phil, in NASCAR, we have seen before, they will say you have to keep up with the pace car. Well, number 1's keeping up with the pace car. What about the rest of the field?
How about that? Mikey Kyle comes down pit road at the last instant. He realizes he doesn't have enough gas to keep this thing going. He has to come down pit road. We're getting 1 to go right now.
1 to go. Will be a 5-lap shootout when they come back to the stripe. As you see, Mikey Kyle making the decision to come onto pit road. Also, Spencer Gallagher in the 23 and the 30 of Terry Jones also coming onto pit road. Bobby Gerhart, what an amazing super speedway career Bobby Gerhart has. 7 wins here, 1 win at Talladega, 8 career wins, but it's all been on the domination of the restrictor plate tracks. Ray, what's happening with the 44 and 58?
Well, I just want you to watch them. They are definitely going to team up. And as I walked down pit road before this race started, I was checking to see which of these cars had slippery tape on their rear bumper. Guess what? The 58 has it on the rear and on the front. And there's a couple other cars, including Brandon McReynolds, who has that same thing. I told you at the top of the show, my crystal ball said there's going to be some 2-car tandems. I think we're getting ready to figure out if anybody can do it, and I think Hackenbracht and Kimmel are 2 guys that are going to team up and try to push their way to the front.
Again, ARCA has said the rules are there's no pushing in the corners. So for these last 5 laps, we may see 2 cars try to get together and work, but they're going to have to do it on the straightaways.
See, of course, Chris Windham was not keeping up the last time around, but does in fact have enough fuel here to get ready for this restart.
When they come to the stripe, the green flag will come out with 5 laps of racing to go. Brandon McReynolds, Chris Buescher, Chris Windham, Will Kimmel, Steve Blackburn, your top 5. Green flag goes back in the air. Right to the double yellow line goes the 4 of Brandon McReynolds. He'll try to hug that yellow line for the final 5 laps.
These guys really have to be on their toes with the possibility of some of these cars up front running out of gas.
Single file line 1 through 10 early on, breaking away from the rest of the pack here.
Now the pushing is going to happen. People are going to be fighting for room on this racetrack.
Down the backstretch. Couple cars taking a peek outside of the line.
Chris Buescher 3rd in line. Now remember, he followed Bobby Gerhart for just about the last half of this race and never was able to make a move on him. Is he going to still sit there again and finish 3rd, or going to try to make something happen?
We haven't seen a lot of contact as far as bump drafting all the way up to the final 5 laps. Will it happen now? 4 to go for Brandon McReynolds in the number 4 car out front. Chris Windham in the 32 running 2nd. Does he come up? Do they work together as a 2-car tandem? You see the 17 falling back just a bit. That's Chris Buescher running 3rd.
Well, if they're going to make a move, they need to have a little bit of gap. You can't be right on him and make a move. Maybe that was intentional. Ooh,
Pauly Haraka gets around. Pauly Haraka spins and goes into the infield. Caution does not come out yet. We stay green.
Side by side for 2nd. Now Chris Buescher did make the move on Chris Windham.
Buescher on the outside, Windham on the inside. They stay side by side. Field coming out of turn number 4. It's still Brandon McReynolds out in front. We stay green. 3 laps of racing to go.
Chris Buescher was not able to clear the 32 of Windham. Now Will Kimmel in the 68 car is going to close up that spot on the bottom. Now he's 3rd.
Pauly Haraka back out on the track after spinning and going into the infield. We stay green. Down the back stretch they go with just under 3 laps to go. The 4
fighting for space back there.
The 4 of Brandon McReynolds watching as they fan out behind him. He's loving that as long as he stays on the yellow line. Max Gresham in the 9, just in front of the 44 of Kimmel. Those 2 looked like they were going to work together, and now Gresham dropping back.
Kimmel jumps to the inside.
This time by 2 laps of racing to go.
Oh, trouble.
Reynolds, Windham, and around goes the 17 of Buescher. He'll slide back up the racetrack. Great job by Buescher to hold it down under the double yellow line.
There was a little bit of contact. Chris Buescher got turned around. Remember what we talked about? Green, white checker having enough fuel? That's what we're going to see.
The caution has come out once again. They will open pit road to give them the opportunity if they want to come down. Once the field has made its way back around and the pace car has picked up the lead car, which is Brandon McReynolds.
See Mark Rett right there, crew chief for Brandon McReynolds, said, why did we have to get a caution?
With just 2 laps of racing to go.
See where the contact is. You see right now it looks like that Nelson Kanachi in the 35 car gets in the back of the 17.
Nelson all over the back bumper of the 17. The 17 spins. See the 55, or the 55 of Paulie Haraka made his way onto pit road. Take a look at this as they cross the stripe. What a great shot.
Yeah.
Yep. Not what they wanted to see.
Yeah, that's Mark Rett right there. He knew that that caution flag could potentially really hurt him on fuel mileage.
Jamie, I know that they weren't happy when this caution came out. Did they think they were going to make it?
They know that it was going to be really close, and Mark Rett is getting really nervous down here. He's saying, you've got to stay on that apron, bud. You've got to shut it off when you can. Just remember, keep your head down. We are here to win this race, and right now we're running on borrowed time. He said all we can do now is just hope and pray.
Brandon McReynolds brings that race car back down onto the apron. He's got to keep up with a cautious pace, keep up with the pace car that's out on the racetrack now, and that field will start to tack on behind the pace car.
You see right now, you see the gap back to the pace car. More than likely Brandon is shutting that car off, coasting, and then turning it back on. And I'm sure all the top 3 right now are doing that. They all pitted on lap number 9. Steve Blackburn right now is running 4th in the 94 car. He pitted back on lap number 15, and Bobby Gerhardt is 5th. He pitted on lap number 10. I think all those guys right now are close on fuel.
Trying to figure out what strategy to use now as far as saving as much fuel as possible. We heard Brandon McReynolds, crew chief, say get down on the apron where it's flat so that the fuel can make it into the pickup. When they come back through 3 and 4 into the stripe, they'll be given the 1 to go sign. It looks like the 4 had slowed way down. We saw the 32 of Wyndham right behind him.
Yeah, they're all shutting their engines off and then coasting and then refiring and going.
The ARCA officials have the opportunity and the ability to talk on each one of these drivers' radios, and so if they get to the point where they think that they're falling back too much, they will warn them.
And they are reminding them right now, Rick, to maintain caution car speed. Right now, this is the completion of lap number 80. This would have been the prescribed distance right here. They're getting 1 to go. That means that we're going to run at least 83 laps.
Yes.
To complete this one.
So they've crossed the stripe, completing 80 laps. The next time by, they will get the green flag.
And remember, we'll do multiple green-white checkered
potentially
attempts.
Multiple green-white checkered attempts. Now that they have passed the prescribed distance of this race, they will try until they can get a green flag finish.